So then for what are you thankful for this week?
Golly, Jesse, I mean, I think more than anything else, health. Like for anybody, I mean, what do you think of? Do you have some shelter? Don't take it for granted. Do you have food? And do you have some safety? I don't think we ever should think for a single day that, oh yeah, that's an automatic. It's not. And I don't know why, but it always, just in your heart, you always think of our deployed service members that don't get to eat stuffing and dressing and turkey and gravy and pie with their families.
With Boise State, it looks like Ashton Genty and George Holani might be fully healthy, or at least as close as you can be in Week 13. How do they complement each other when they both are in the backfield?
I think unequivocally it's the best running back tandem that there's been in this league, certainly in the last 17 years. And, the power, the experience, the age of Holani, and Giante could play everywhere. I mean, he's, his quickness, his vision, his balance, and they're good up front, too. I mean, they got a few guys that have been there for a while, and, they're tremendous.
Well, Coach, looking back on this season, what a crazy season you guys have had. I know it's not over just yet, but how would you describe briefly, if you can, this season, looking back on it?
You go week by week. That's usually the way you operate, and we get another week this week, and then we get to play again also. Definitely get a chance to play in a bowl game too, and it's been a tremendous learning experience. I think especially for our guys, the number of guys that maybe this is truly their first year of playing college football. And for a good number of those guys, that may be seniors, where some of the others may, be juniors or sophomores. So the learning part of it's invaluable. And when I say learning part of it, football, but some of the other experiences that carry past football too.
And then finishing the regular season on the road in Boise, what can you say just about them as a team and the challenges that they present?
Enormously talented. They're old. If you went through and looked like at their two-deep depth chart, the number of guys that are maybe redshirt fourth, fifth-year redshirt seniors, and they have hands down the most guys that have a sixth year beside them too. And when I was walking down the hallway here, I was trying to think what's comparable. I remember BYU in the 80s and 90s, where so often they had guys that were maybe 6 years out of high school. These guys do too. It's just all 6 of those years have been walking into that football operations building. So just the history that they have individually of being able to eat, being able to lift, being able to meet, being able to practice, just all that, and it shows. I mean, they are as capable as any Group of 5 team, and more capable than a good number of Power 5 teams too.
Hey, Coach, I know that you said resiliency is how you would kind of explain this team this year, especially the senior class. How can they show that to you again this week?
Well, more than anything else, just the joy being around them each day and, being able to practice. How much they care and how receptive they are to trying to help others. I mean, they're just truly remarkable examples. How thoughtful they are of teammates, and God, that goes a long ways. And I think it tells you a lot about them too, because it's not solely about only how I play or individually how I'm living. I mean, they take just an engaged interest in our other players, and I think that's really important, not only for our guys, some of our younger guys, just leadership-wise as football players, but as human beings.
And as we get down to the wire, each one of these games gets closer to the last. What is that like for you as a coach, where you guys had such an awesome start to the season, and just knowing you're getting to the end of that season?
Well, you realize how fortunate you are. I mean, one to be able to play in a bowl game. When that point comes, wherever that may be, that's probably where a little more of the conclusion part of it, really soaks in and hits you. Right now we're going to practice today. We want to get better.
Coach, is the hope that you'll get some of those senior guys that have been sidelined due to injury, Larry or Michelle, back this week or for the bowl game?
No, it's still gonna be a while.
What impact have they brought then, just kind of with their experience from the sideline? I know they're leaders, so how have they helped your guys the past couple weeks?
I mean, just seeing them this past Saturday, just how involved they were, the way they were encouraging others. I mean, it didn't matter who was out there on the field, and I mean, you love that, just because, again, I mean, do they want us to play? Well, you better believe it. They care. But just how much they really, really take a strong interest in other human beings. That's why they'll do quite well, when they're done playing football too.
How are you approaching the quarterback position this week? Do you have a starter you're just getting ready, or is it kind of open and you'll identify that?
We've always repped a good number. I say a good number of guys. We've always repped at least 2, often 3 guys, and we are this week too. With Jensen and Ben Britton, and then John too.
Because last week you had eight chances where it was third and 6 or more. I believe 6 of those you ran, 2 of those you passed. That's a pretty high percentage of running in third and long situations. Was that the game plan going in was just to stick to the running game? Was that a skill set situation at the quarterback position where you thought maybe you were better off running? What leads to those decisions in those?
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty in-depth question, and I think you're always trying a little bit to know maybe what is it you think you're going to see. Are you going to see man free? Are you going to see 2 deep? Are you going to see 3 deep? Is it going to be a 5-man rush where there's an added pressure? What historically have you seen in that area of the field? Is it taken into account at all if ball's on the left hash, right hash? There's a lot that goes into that for each one of those.
Their offense has scored 30 points or more in 9 games, I believe. How would you describe what you anticipate you'll see from them offensively, and then how do you best defend that?
Yeah, Jesse, I mean, they have great power, and they have tremendous speed, and they've run the ball exceptionally well. I think, especially here recently, yet at the same time, just the ability they have in some of their movement throws, especially, whether it's some of the boots, a few of the RPOs too, and a guy that absolutely can get the ball down the field to some highly, highly capable receivers. I mean, they're good. I mean, talent and capability-wise, they have quite a roster, and especially on offense. And defense, too. You look, I mentioned some of those, or at least, referred to some 6-year guys on the offense. But defense, too. I mean, Washington's been there for a couple of years, and the inside guy, 52, I think's been there for a while. Yeah.
Dylan had one of his best games statistically. Leaned on him pretty heavily. What have you liked about his progression from the moment he took his first carries against Robert Morris to?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you look at a good number of our guys, you try to surge forward as much as you can, but it's a process, and you need game snaps. Not only when you play in other games to lean on, but you just realize in practice, it might be the tiniest of details where she's coming to tackle me, and I say, all right, I got to try to get on a side. So instead of taking the hit flush, I got a chance to gain an extra 2 yards. And clearly understands being able to run behind his pads. And he'll keep working at that and keep developing too.
Coach, the guys have made it clear that a Mountain West title is a goal of theirs this year and something that hasn't been met yet. But is that part of the conversation at all going into this Friday's game, or is it just you want to win because it's another football game?
Yeah, we haven't said anything about that. We want to practice, we want to grow, we want to develop, and that's what our guys want too. And the reason why is when that's your approach and it gives you a chance to be more competitive in a game. That's why.
In this unique situation where you're facing a team that's had a coaching change very recently, what complications does that present from a preparation standpoint, because you don't know tendencies necessarily?
I really don't think so, because we haven't seen changes in what that's noticeable at all on offense and truly at all on defense too, just because all the rest of the staff's still in place. And so very little to be candid.
And when they have had continuity at the quarterback position, as you've watched them over the year, is there a difference when they only have the one?
I think so. Who wouldn't have loved to have both those guys? And I really think when you look at Taylon Green, because we looked at him extensively when he was in high school too, he just reminded you so much of Vince Young, quite frankly, when he was at Texas. The movement, the ability to throw a ball down the field. If he ever got outside on you, it wasn't going to be a 4-yard gain. It could go for a long ways. And so he's played quite well. I do think sometimes if you're in your first or second year, I think especially at quarterback, maybe when you play and then you're out for a little bit, I think there's some things that you realize, hey, when I played, you see some things that are helpful maybe when you play again. I really do. I think that happens, especially at that spot.
Did you recruit him a little bit?
We did not. We were well aware of him.
Okay. And then back to the issue of the Mountain West. I know
what issue?
The fact that there's a path again.
There
could have been. Had Fresno won Saturday night, that path was all but gone. But now that exists, you've mentioned human nature at times. Certain things factor in, like it or not. Having that path, does that present any sort of jolt of energy or anything to the players?
Our guys were going to play hard no matter what. I look at every year, and I'm trying to think as I go back over the years. Oh, goodness, who'd we play? In 2016, ironically, we played Boise here. And, I go back. I don't think so. I can go back even before that. I think in 2014, we played Colorado State here, and we played pretty good football. We weren't going to play for a Mountain West Conference championship. I'm trying to think in 2015, we were at New Mexico, and we could have hosted so I don't think it gave us a ginormous jolt. We got thumped that day to be, you go. So I don't think so. I do realize the attention. Candidly, I think if I was writing an article, I would too. I'd mention that just because that draws interest. I would, if you're two dudes sitting at the countertop and having a cold sarsaparilla, that'd come up. Just if I'm pulling for the Rockies and you're saying, all right, here we go, or I'm pulling for the Avalanche and you think, we got a chance to have home ice. Yeah, I think that as a fan.
You did go to Boise in 2015 before that New Mexico game and get a win that puts you in the championship game.
We did, yeah. But I don't think, the next week is your head. I didn't think so. I didn't think so when, like I said, in 2016 we played, or was it 2017? When did we play Utah State at home when we had all those carries? In 2017, I thought our guys played hard, even though there wasn't a chance to go to a bowl game. I think we were 4-7. I thought they played with good drive and pop. And, so I don't think so, to be frank.
I got one. I apologize for being late. If this has already been asked, I apologize. But with you guys going on the road, is there like a Thanksgiving meal planned for the guys and the coaches and all that? Yeah,
there is. And it'll be for all of our players and our travel crew. And it'll be in Boise once we land. And I'd rather do it at a lunch rather than at dinner. So as soon as we land and we get over there, just so it doesn't quite settle on your tummy for too long. And we have some guys that like to eat. They're active. Their metabolism goes. I'd like to have that. But So if you're going to put stuffing and mashed potatoes and gravy, and sometimes the turkey's got a little something in you that, challenges your eyelids a little bit for some people, then we'd rather do it sooner rather than later.
And then finally, my last one, just from a camaraderie standpoint, I mean, how nice is that you get to do that with your guys?
It is. I am absolutely in awe of our guys. What they do here at the Air Force Academy. I say it, and I think, how do you take not just the number of classes, but the challenge of the depth of those classes, and they have a good number of duties, with their military and their squadron activities that they have to fulfill, and you have time to still play FBS football. And so, anytime, I'll say this, I love being around our guys. If they told you here, no, you got to be a CE coach, you got to be a top-down manager, no, I think you miss the interaction, how much so many of them just openly communicate and share a good bit with you, and you miss the opportunity to learn and grow from our players, which we do as coaches.
What is the schedule this week in terms of class? Do they have the week off, or do they go through?
No, they had class yesterday, and they have class today, and so we're going to practice tomorrow morning, and then we'll leave on Thursday.
Does that help a little bit that they won't miss class Thursday, Friday? They won't have to load up on homework while they're gone. They can actually just.
It's your your preference. Obviously, it's one of the things. Just always you think about. It's why I like playing home games as much as we can, is because they do not miss any class whenever you do that. But you can't play 12 home games.
What's the mood of the team after everything that happened late Saturday, where a path to the Mountain West Championship represented itself? Did that do anything for you guys?
Yeah, I know certainly after the game people were very down, but coming in Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, once the news broke, everybody was excited. We weren't expecting another chance at it, so we're just ready to go after it this week.
And having a game where you were more like yourselves, where you were able to run the ball on Saturday, how does that impact you guys going forward, knowing you can still be the Air Force team that you were showing during the 8-0 start?
It certainly impacts us in a positive way. We knew we weren't living up to our potential with the showings we had against Army and Hawaii, and it was good to get back to it, at least in the first half of the UNLV game. And we know just if we keep playing at that level, nobody in the conference can match us really.
How you doing, Wesley?
I'm good.
Is there any pressure with Friday's game just because of what's at stake? And if so, how do you kind of just continue to just play ball and not think about what's at stake?
There's always pressure, especially with Boise State. It's kind of like a big game for us every year, no matter what's on the line. So I think for me, myself, every game means a lot to me. So I think everybody just comes into the week, every week, thinking with the same mindset. So I don't think it'll be any more pressure to perform or anything. We just keep doing what we've been doing, and something will break.
And I understand when you guys get to Boise on Thursday, you're going to have a team Thanksgiving meal. What does that mean just from a camaraderie standpoint, and just having these moments with these guys? Because there's, not too many left, I guess.
It's a good thing, definitely. I don't think I've gone home for a single Thanksgiving break. So the same group, as a senior, all the seniors on this team, I think we've been spending the last 3 Thanksgivings together. So it definitely brings us together.
Hey Wes, what's been the biggest point of emphasis when it comes to preparing for Boise State this weekend?
Boise State always has a strong defense, so they know how to play us well. Big conference rivalry almost. So I think the biggest thing is just game planning. They know us very well, so we have to find out just what we can do different, what we can elevate to beat them at the end of the day, and definitely just realizing we do what we do best, and just execution has to be at that level for us to come out on top Friday night.
Coach Calhoun has explained the senior class as resilient, and that's kind of the one word he used to describe you guys last week. How do you guys plan to show that this Friday?
Just do what we do, or control the controllables, certainly. You know, on the O-line, just playing with pad level, playing with consistency, being the most, like, the eldest group on the offensive side of the ball, the most experienced group. You know, certainly we had to lead the way with the younger guys behind us and outside of us. Like, we had to pave the way for them. So I think that's just what we had to do to keep it going.
You mentioned the games and the rivalries, if you will, between Air Force and Boise State. The Friday after Thanksgiving traditionally has always been elevated games, rivalry games where everyone is sitting around and watching college football. What is that matchup in your time here? Does it elevate to that status, and why?
Certainly, you know, you can almost feel like the extra tension in the air when it's Boise week. You know, the coaches are excited to go after it. You know, Boise State's always like the leading Mountain West program every year, it seems like. So just for us to be able to go out there and take a shot at them and give our best shot and our best effort, it means a lot for us.
The slow starts to start the games have plagued the offense. A lot of 3 and outs, and this dates to the start of the year. Has that been a point of emphasis? And if so, how do you get back to moving the football with consistency with the first possession and getting in the end zone?
The slow starts, that was a point of emphasis in Coach Thiessen's speech he gave to us the player meeting on Sunday. So it's just about telling people, coming in with a mentality of not waiting. You have to come right out of the gate from the first play and just keep pounding them every play after that. So I think it's definitely a mentality thing, a mindset thing. You can't keep waiting for the first few reps to warm up or everything. You have to step on the field ready to go.
Leslie, you talked about this a little bit, but with your O-line group being all seniors and just the kind of camaraderie that you've built, what would it mean to you guys to be able to play for a Mountain West title together?
It would mean everything. You know, the coaches were talking about how no Air Force team has ever done it before. And for us, like this experienced group to be able to do it, it would mean everything for us. And especially like with how close-knit we are and just like being the first team to do it, it would certainly open up like paths for other teams to know that they can do it, especially at a service academy as well.
There were a number of negative yardage plays that hurt you guys, took you out of schedule, and put you in third and long situations. I guess how do you go about combating that? And then also, what does that do to the mindset with this kind of offense when you guys do face a 3rd and 12, 3rd and 9? Because you're obviously not used to that.
I'd say before Army, we would have gotten kind of nervous as the O-line. That's the only group I can really speak to. But certainly since Army, I can say our pass protection has gone a lot better. So like certainly now, 3rd and 9, 3rd and long, like we know that whatever they throw at us, the O-line can handle it. And certainly I think everybody's starting to become more comfortable as we found ourselves being in those positions a lot more in these past few games.
And then, you know, in a year where you've played 3 senior quarterbacks, or those have been the top 3 on the depth chart, and now we saw a sophomore last week, as an up-front group, how well do you know John Boucher? Like, has he been mixing in with the first group very often, or is he kind of an outsider in the offense?
He mixes in a little bit. He's actually in my squad, so I know him pretty well. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter who's back there for us. We know we have to deliver every play no matter who's back there. And, you know, as long as he comes into the pocket and he's composed, he can operate the game, like that's really all that matters for the O-line.
What else can you tell? Since you know him outside of football, what is he like?
I mean, he's a pretty chill guy. He's from Florida somewhere. I don't remember exactly, but he's a good dude. Definitely somebody you want to block for.
With the Thanksgiving meal, who is the biggest eater and who's going to crush it, you think?
Probably Ethan Jackman. Yeah, definitely Ethan Jackman.
Has there been a mindset shift since Saturday, just knowing that the path to the championship opened back up and you guys are still very much in the mix?
Nah, I'd say for the most part, we just focus on going 1-0 each week. That's been our mindset all year, so 1-0.
In Thanksgiving week, are you thankful you have some stakes attached to this?
Yeah, it's really, you know, the time right now, especially with Thanksgiving, where you kind of come together, especially as a team right now, especially before a big game like this.
Can you kind of put this senior year into perspective? You guys starting off really strong, having to be a bit resilient the past couple weeks. What has this year kind of meant to you?
I would say it brought a lot of ups and downs, but, you know, you realize who you came here with, especially the senior class, and, you know, just so grateful for what we've, you know, been able to accomplish while we've been here.
Any pressure Friday's game just because of what's at stake?
I would say no. We know what our job is. All we just got to do is do our job. Simple as that.
Coach was telling us on Thursday when you get there, you're going to have the Thanksgiving meal as a team. How much do you just kind of cherish those kind of moments, especially where you're at here at the academy?
I feel like most guys cherish it a lot because, you know, at some point none of us are going to be in the same room together, like, again. The case of that would be very rare, so we just, you know, really appreciate that moment together.
Boise State known for scoring a lot of points. What's the biggest challenge they pose for your defense this week?
For us, our main focus, you know, stop the run, make them go one-dimensional.
Wesley was just talking about how when you guys play Boise State, it brings a little bit of extra energy. That's a team that you guys always look forward to playing. Kind of talk on that a little bit and just the extra energy that will bring this Friday.
I feel like for a lot of guys, especially guys who were here in 2021 when we went up there, we kind of know what's at stake when we go up there. You know, the fans are quite rowdy, so we just kind of go there with a chip on our shoulder and just play.
I know obviously the season isn't over yet, but as a senior, how would you briefly summarize this season?
That's a good question. For the most part, I'd say memorable, very memorable, especially with the guys that are like under us, juniors, sophomores. You know, being able to like leave a good mark on them and a good example has been, you know, more of my reasoning this year.
The defense has been so good all year, top 10 in many statistical categories all year. The one fly in that ointment might be the opening drive. Last 3 games, march down and score. How do you guys flip that switch, so to speak, earlier and not dig yourself that 7-0 hole right out of the gate?
Just having that mindset going into practice, especially on these padded days like today, just making sure that we're communicating, like psychotically communicating throughout the week and every period that we have team scout, just, you know, making sure we just start fast and just as long as we're doing our job, we're good.
Who are the 2 teammates you do not want to be behind in the Thanksgiving buffet line because there won't be anything left?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd definitely say Thor Pagley-Long and Wesley and Dago. I'd definitely say them too.
You mentioned going up to the blue turf before. Traditionally, Air Force has played very well there. Is there some key to doing that? Because most teams in Mountain West really struggle there.
I would just say for us, we know when we go up there, we know everything's going to go against us. Everybody there is going to be against us, you know, being in Boise on that blue turf, especially with the game at stake like this. We just realize that we just have to go there with a chip on our shoulder and just play our game.
And is there a lot of carryover in preparation from last week facing UNLV with a mobile quarterback and, you know, a potent running game that does carry over into this week?
I'd say for the most part, yeah, we're having kind of the same situation. They do have a good solid backcourt with Talani and Ginty. I'd say that. Good solid guys back there.